Okay, so today we are talking about depression. And this is kind of like a precursor to the suicide and depression event that's going to be held on September 17th at Frontline Outreach Center that I talked about earlier. Okay, so I wanted to begin with just kind of like a personal reflection. Talk about a dark time, a dark time in your life where you maybe felt depressed or had a deep sadness, and what was that experience like for you?
I'm going through a deep sadness right now.
Okay.
You better tell a girl.
Right?
You better tell her.
But like, I'm not, like, I say I'm depressed. I'm not really depressed.
Yeah.
But I should
How do
I
you
should
know?
stop saying that.
Think about that.
Yeah, I should stop saying that because, like,
Well, how do you know you're not?
probably right. I mean, not to, like, dumb it down. I'm not, but
Yeah,
it's...
don't let these professionals in here tell you a little something.
No,
like
I'm,
you
I'm,
are.
I'm saying, I know, right? No, I've diagnosed. I'm saying it because I think depression is a serious thing,
Mhm.
and even though, like, I'm really sad about whatever
Oh,
situation.
you're saying you don't want to make light of it?
Yeah,
I see
yeah,
you're
that's
saying.
what I'm saying. Like,
understand.
I should stop saying that I'm depressed because...
Well,
They said they cannot hear,
situational
so-
depression you're going through, possibly.
yeah,
Doesn't
but
mean
it's
that you're
not...
living
I'm
with
not
the
clinically depressed.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm not, like,
Depressed is depressed, girl.
Yeah.
They said they cannot hear. Can you guys hear us now? I don't
Am
know.
I on a
Somebody
bad
said they
mic?
couldn't hear.
Oh, good? Okay,
Okay.
brother being
Oh,
good.
then
All
okay,
right,
good.
thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to think... I don't know. But let's just say I'm, like, really sad about the situation. But, like I said again, like earlier, my spiritual application is that I'm dealing with it. God is helping me deal with it. And I don't think I need to see anybody about it because it's not like... Actually, it is pretty serious. But I don't think it's, like, as serious for me to actually, like, sit down and talk to someone who's going to try to prescribe me medication or something like that, like a psychiatrist or something. Like, I don't really think I need that. But like I said, I know that there's, like, other serious cases of depression that I know people who are struggling with, and they, talk to mental health counselors and, people in you guys' professions, and, I think that is a serious thing. I kind of think I'm talking in circles because I don't know what I'm talking about now. I don't really know. I just want to say I'm not
The
really
question
depressed.
was to talk about a time in your life where you felt a deep sadness, or when you felt depressed.
Okay. I am.
All right, I'll go.
Thank you.
Okay. So I would
sad.
say I'll talk about the more recent one. I would say I felt a deep sadness recently with a breakup that I've had, and just having to make decisions that I feel like God was telling me to make that I didn't necessarily agree with, but I felt like I wanted to do what He was telling me to do because I always have done what I wanted to do, and it's never quite worked out. So I felt a deep sadness just trying to deal with my spiritual life as well as dealing with my emotions and dealing with heartache and things when your brain and your mind and your spiritual are not telling you the same thing all at one time. They're not like in agreement. So I feel like I have felt a deep, deep sadness about it. Just feeling very lost in the situation and feeling like, always questioning, am I really making the right decision? Is this really what I should be doing? And almost questioning God. So I feel like in the spiritual application would be that I feel like God is trying to continue to reassure me that I'm okay. But there are a lot of moments where I don't feel okay. I feel like yesterday I was very sad. Like I felt extremely, extremely sad. So that would be mine.
A situation, and I'll go back to what I would call my dark days.
Oh Lord, dark days.
Like when I first started into college, and I just got into a relationship, and I think it was my first like serious girlfriend, and we had broke up, and I was just like rock bottom. Yeah, I think that was a time that I was really sad because I had put like so much eggs into one basket of being in this relationship and blah blah blah, and made a couple huge life decisions that were like kind of irreversible, focusing priorities on something that it shouldn't have been focused on. And yes, I did feel like sadness and grief and so I could say that was a time that I was like really, I would say, depressed because I was like, I was just days.
Mhm.
So, yeah, relationships can cause that
Mhm.
type of sadness. And
I know you're holding it. You want me to hold it? You
Okay.
sure? Okay.
I am living with depression, ADHD, and generalized anxiety disorder. With ADHD, often is comorbid with anxiety and depression. So it's something that I've always kind of dealt with. And I go through ups and downs. Um, and I can say that I just got out of a situation that made me extremely depressed. I felt like it was just, I had to make one bad decision after another. And along with not so much therapy because my insurance ran out, but along with medication and praying,
Mhm.
I got down to my knees real quick, and God showed up and showed out definitely. But do I think that I have to manage it just like I would if I was a diabetic that needed insulin or anything like that? 100%. Every day is like you never know what you're gonna get. It's like a bag full of tricks. Some days are better than others, and of course, every different system in my life really supports me. So I have to have a good group of friends that understand. I had to, really explain things to my family so they could understand. It wasn't just me being a brat, which I am too. But obviously, I'm a clinical social worker, so the institution that I work for obviously supports me. And I have to be confident enough to know that just like I have hazel eyes and a size 8 shoe, I'm also living with depression and anxiety. So there were times in my life before I was diagnosed, and it's when life hits, events in my life hit, they hit me harder than somebody else who maybe could roll with the punches a little bit better. Don't get me wrong, I'm a survivor and I'm super resilient. A lot. Sometimes I impress myself. I was like, "Whoa, that was good. You got back up quick." But I feel everything, and just like I feel the bad, I feel the good, really good, So I usually take the good with the bad. For me, I don't tell my clients that as cut and dry, but for me, that's what I do.
Jorge.
I would say the time, which I've experienced a few times, but I'd say the most recent was when my grandfather passed away. He passed away earlier this year, and he passed away due to his alcoholism. He had been an alcoholic for over 20 years, and the health issues that it accrued over the years finally caught up, and he passed away. And the loss was enough to be depressed about, but to go to Puerto Rico, go to his funeral, watch him be buried, and then come back Monday and deal with alcoholics and my job, it was very complicated and very difficult. And even as a mental health professional, I know the signs of depression, and it's such an easy slope to downplay what I'm feeling. It's so easy to do that, and that's a very dangerous thing. That's why when you said, "Oh, I'm not depressed, I'm just sad," that could be tricky because
maybe I am depressed.
yeah, like sometimes you'll overlook it and the momentum will start build, and then the next thing you know, you're sleeping 12 hours a day or you're not eating, and then you're like, how did I get to this point? It's because you were downplaying it for a while. So I'm trying to look at the markers and admit to myself, I'm depressed. I see that. Because at least me acknowledging it, I can start doing stuff then. Because if I push it to the side or downplay it at all, that momentum will come and it'll be too much. And there were a few times that happened. But once I started to admit to myself, I'm depressed, what am I going to do about it? I did my things. I went to the gym 24/7. I went like 4 days a week that week. And I relied on my support, even though I didn't feel like talking, even though I wanted to be by myself. The depression's going to want you to do these things that aren't conducive to yourself. It's going to want you to not talking to people. It's going to want you to not do the things you love to do. And that just makes the depression build. So you kind of have to force yourself to do the things that make you happy. You got to force yourself to talk to people and rely on them, even though you don't want to. But at the end of it, once you've done that, there is like a lift period, a little bit, just to get your head out of the water and breathe. But it's such a difficult thing to have, and it could happen situationally, and then it could happen like on a clinical level where it's a constant thing. And that's the thing a lot of people don't realize, that there's just so many kinds of depressions, and it's not even just with emotional stuff. Like, you could have a physical ailment and be depressed. You could have a hormone imbalance that cause depression. You could have a thyroid issue that cause depression, and they fix it and it's gone. But you would never know that if you're not having the awareness of depression and then what you can do with it. So.
All right, so after everyone responds to Tamara's initial question, I have a follow-up question that I want to ask.
Okay.
Continue.
Well, I guess I'm the only one with the answer. I've had several instances of sad periods. I guess one that I remember was when I was in grad school. As a lot of you know, I've been a dancer since I was young. And when I got to grad school, I reached a point where I could not balance staying on my dance team and keeping up with my studies. And so I had to quit the dancing. And some people may think like that's ridiculous or whatever, but I went through a period of depression when I was not, or feeling depressed by not having dance in my life anymore. It was kind of like a loss of identity. And I felt like a void, and I missed it, but I knew I couldn't do it at the same time. I think I talked to Jorge about this when we were in school. It was crazy. It was weird. I didn't think it was going to impact me that way. So that was my little period, but I've since filled that void. So
Nice.
So what was your follow-up question?
So my follow-up question is, and Tamara does dance again. Okay. So my follow-up question was, how do you know when you're depressed versus being extremely sad?
Okay.
So I get, and that actually fits in with
The
the
next
next question,
question?
which is the same thing. What is depression? How does it differ from like the normal ups and downs that we face in life?
Just off the top, what I like to how I simplify it, like with my clients, is like depression is like sadness beefed up. You're gonna feel sadness, crying, feeling bummed out, not wanting to do things. That's fine, and usually there's like a peak and then it'll level off. With depression, there might be a peak and then it goes down, then it might go up again, and then it might go up again, and then it might go up again, or it goes down a little and then comes back up. So there's like a lot of dips with it.
What if you're like in between them?
If you're in between them, I mean, that's difficult to say, but it's like you feel it's there, but it's not there. Like I see it there, but it's not over me. It's like a rain cloud. It's over there, but I know it's there, but it's not raining on top of me. That would be like the in-between feeling when you're in that going in and out of depression. But a lot of the telltale signs for depression is just like your routine. If you stop your routine, things you do, if you let that halt for any reason, that's like a red flag. If you're not enjoying the things that usually make you happy, red flag. If you're not eating or sleeping to your normal levels, red flag. And that's just a common thing. If you're feeling a lack of energy, like, man, I just can't motivate myself to do it, red flag. And each one of those things individually might not be a big deal, but if you're encountering multiple, that's something you should pay attention to. So that's the best way I could simplify it. Eating, sleeping, energy, enjoyment. Yeah, if any of those, or socializing. If you're not talking to people on the phone, if you're ignoring calls, if you're not hanging out, you're like, oh, I want to stay inside. If you're doing it too much, that might be a sign that there's some depression there. So.
Camilla, do you want to add anything?
I think he did simplify it quite well. And I try not to pull the trigger too quick on any diagnosis when I first assess a client.
Yeah.
We have to put something for insurance reasons, but I try and wait to see. A lot of times, if they're not on medication yet, I wait, work with them. If they're doing the therapeutic interventions, and that helps them through. If nothing's working, they can't get the motivation to do the therapeutic interventions. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. It's crying, they're not showering, they're sleeping too much. I could barely get them in the office. Then I suggest medication. Because, like we keep using the term situational depression. Sometimes life is full of ups and downs. You get, not happy things. People pass away. People get sick. Your dog dies. That's sad. And, if people can't come out of that rut, then usually that's a huge indicator that, it's chemical or something along those lines.
Right. Yeah, time is a big factor here, because if we're talking about like normal sadness, usually people can, depending on what the situation, of course. So if you're going through something like grief, then naturally that may take a little longer to get out of. But if we're talking normal downs in life, and we tend to be able to recover from that. But when we're talking about depression, usually that's going to last a little longer. I think DSM wise, 2 weeks is what 2 weeks or longer is what we're looking for, and the person has a consistent combination of symptoms that are going lasting. So does everybody kind of have a clear? Does that answer your question, Rashawn? Does that clarify the difference?
Yes and no.
Okay, go ahead with the no.
Hey.
Well,
Oh, Christina, go ahead.
No. I have nothing about this really quick. They said they can't hear us. I don't know if we could restart it.
Oh.
I don't know if Periscope's acting up.
What?
They saying you can't hear on Periscope. I don't know. It might be just Periscope acting stupid, but I don't know if we could like try to like stop it or restart it.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna just turn it off and restart it.
bless you.
You trying to touch me with the Holy Ghost?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Just go.
Oh yeah, I got like two
Okay.
pieces left, so you can
All right, so we're back on.
distribute those.
Hopefully that fixed the issue.
And this is KSR and WPIR. So I said yes and no.
Yeah.
And okay, so I said yes because I kind of like understood what you said, and I said no because to me it still kind of sounds like I'm confused about which one I would diagnose myself, because I guess they're very similar. And
You could come into my office on Monday and I'll figure it out for you.
is it free?
No, girl.
I
Free in this world.
got you if it's free. I don't know. I mean, it could just be like I'm just being like extra, you know. I don't know. I'm very like I exaggerate everything, and I'm just over dramatic. And people who know me, they know that. So
I have a question. Are you sure you just don't want to be like stigmatized by living with depression?
probably
Okay.
that's a
Very
big part
telling.
of it. It's a very big part of it. I'm not ashamed.
Depression is the new black. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Mental illness is the new black. Just saying.
I'd rather wear orange. I
Would
don't
you?
want to do that. I don't want to do that.
Fine, suit yourself.
I don't want to do it, but I may come see it.
Okay.
So, I think another thing to look at is how's it interfering with your life? When we're talking about disorder, most disorders are going to interfere with your life in some way, shape, or form. So a lot of my clients that suffer from depression, a lot of them have lost jobs because of their depression. They've lost relationships because they don't have the desire, the willingness, the interest anymore in talking to people and talking to friends. They cannot get out of bed a lot of the times. These are very drastic life changes. So those are kind of like those markers we look at when we're talking about normal ups and downs of life versus actual depression, like diagnosable depression.
Because you can have what, like they say, like bouts of depression, right? So they're where it's not like you're. I don't know if you can be. It's like you're fully diagnosed, but you can have like bouts of it, like
It's like
where
in
you
cycles.
right. They can go in cycles, right? Okay, so that's what I was saying. So you can have like bouts of depression without being clinically diagnosed.
You can be clinically diagnosed and go through bouts. What's the specifier?
You have the seasonal depression. You have the specifier is the recurrent.
Yeah, reoccurring.
Yeah.
And episode and
Inter-episode recovery.
Hello. So
I know, right? I know, right?
Okay.
Come see y'all.
Okay. But yeah, because I know that you can have. But can you have bouts of depression without being clinically diagnosed depressed?
I mean, you can feel again like.
How
Feel
often
depressed.
are these bouts coming out?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just asking because
Yeah.
I was saying like for Sean because she's I feel like because okay for me like yesterday like I felt depressed and I know because I don't want to talk to anybody and usually like when I'm sad I want to get out, like I call her, I'm like I gotta get out, I'm sad, get me out this house. So I know the difference between when I'm depressed is I don't want nobody to talk to me. I want to be in my room, don't call me, don't talk to me, just me by myself. And that's not normally me. I need everybody around me. So I feel like you can. I was asking like, can you have like moments of like depression?
See, like with yours, it's attached to an event, right?
Right, exactly.
Right.
It's an attachment.
Usually
Yeah,
if
definitely.
it's attached to an event, it could be like the normal run of the mill, or it could be clinical. Like it could be, if it's attached to an event, it could be either or. But the real test of it is once the event has passed a while, are you still feeling the same way like it's fresh?
What's
Yeah.
a while?
If it
And
is,
is it affecting all three areas of your life?
Uh-huh.
Social, work or school,
Right.
and
Well, I was gonna say relationships, but that's social.
there's one, what can I think of?
I'm missing the third one.
yeah, I'm missing that one too.
But those are the major ones.
Yeah, but yeah, if it's been
The two areas.
Somebody
Yeah.
said you're allowed a comfortable 24 to be upset, and then you need to move in a plan of action,
All
What was that, 24 days?
like 24 hours.
24 hours.
What?
You better
That's
get it
it?
together.
So Rashawn, plan of action.
Knees to
I'm
chest, girl.
overdue. Who said that?
No, that's somebody just said.
Yeah.
Harkin one said you're allowed a comfortable 24 to be upset, and then you need to move in a plan of action.
So did that answer your question, Christina?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
it definitely answered my question. I was just
Okay.
more so like reaching because I understand what she's saying because
Yeah.
you get confused about whether you're really sad or whether you're really feeling depression. But
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes you can tell when you're really because you don't want to. Like you said, you don't want to do your normal things
Right.
that you would normally want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like you really just don't want to do anything. There are days, seriously, where I don't even feel like I don't want to move out of my bed. I really just don't want to get up. And that's how I know it's different from being sad. Like, when I'm sad, I want to deal with my sadness. I want to move on from my sadness. When I'm depressed, I don't even care how I feel. I just want to just be stuck in it. I want to be in the red, wherever I'm feeling. That's how,
Okay.
in my mind, I would
So
differentiate.
then maybe I have bouts. Would you call it bouts?
Bouts of depression.
Yeah, maybe I have that because
Ask
But
them.
you're dealing with a situation.
Right, so
Yeah.
he's saying it's
When does the
situational.
situation start, honey?
This is not about Rashawn.
Right.
We're going after the show. We will diagnose Rashawn. Stay tuned.
So
I know. I was like, what is it?
what are some of, and this was a question that someone had asked, what are some of the not so obvious signs of depression? So things that we may miss that could indicate.
I think the not answering the phone thing, that subtle I'm just down in the dumps today, and then before you know it, bam, it spirals out of control. You know, and you're not thinking, you're like, like, damn, where'd Camille go? Like, she hasn't been around, and like, whatever. She didn't answer the phone last time I called her, but everyone's so busy, like, doing stuff. You're like, I live alone. I could crawl up in my closet and die. No one will even know.
Yes, I would.
Until
Yes,
she needs a pair of shoes, then she'll be like, oh my god, my friend's in the closet. But I'm just saying, like, it creeps up on you so fast that and people don't know, and it's not something you talk about, and it's not something, you know, I mean, I do because I'm all for mental health and get the word out there and whatever, but most people living with it are accountants and, you know, drive a bus, and they have regular lives, and they're not going around telling everybody, hey, if I don't answer my phone all Sunday instead of coming to the family barbecue, that meant that I didn't take a shower either, and I ate, you know, Nutella out of the jar with my finger. I've been guilty of that. And, you know, come check on me, and, you know, we got to see what's going on here.
Right.
So I think that's exactly what it is. Just those little things that are still in social norms, but not normal for the individual. And then, like he said, they snowball out of control.
Anything when I
as far as the hidden stuff, I would say
not
what makes it tricky is, for example, with you, your reluctance to even ask, is this sad or this depression? Like, times it by like 10. That's the tricky one, because they're going to want to put up a front because they don't want people to know because of the stigma. So someone who's just extra cheery and you're like, you know, that would make me sad if I was encountering that. Why are they acting that way? That's a red flag for me, because then that could be just a mask that they're putting on, and you have no idea the impact it's doing to them because they're putting this mask of everything's functioning, but they're really not.
Yeah.
So that would be something that I would look for. Just, you know, the people you know, if you know their behaviors and you know how they act, any little change could easily be a signal, because they might still be calling for help inadvertently, not letting you know. Like,
Oh, another secret one is irritability. People get super irritable, and you just think, so then you'll think your friend's just being a jerk.
Yeah.
Or like, just because you're going through something, damn, it doesn't mean that you have to, and you don't even realize your irritability, or like just your impatience, your frustration, and you are a little snappy.
Yeah.
You know, and then it will just be like, girl, you better watch your mouth. Well, I didn't talk to her for 2 weeks because, you know, we got into a little back and forth, and then there's been 2 weeks where this individual has, again, spiraled out of control.
Yeah. That's a good one. Because a lot when people think of depression, they think you're just low and
Yeah.
you're not talking. But yeah,
Like,
irritability
you're
is
right.
a marker. Yeah, definitely.
Anxiety too, since depression and anxiety bleed into together
Yeah,
so
100%.
well.
Mhm.
If you're seeing them be really anxious, they're just as likely to be depressed on the
Yes.
next cycle,
Mhm.
like that. So that could be a marker too, because you'd be like, oh, they're just nervous. It's not anything, but not knowing they're also depressed.
Mhm.
So that could be
Hmm.
something too.
Good. So, Philip, I asked Phil to kind of research this. What does the Bible say about depression, or are there examples of people in the Bible who were depressed?
Okay, so this was an interesting task that you gave me, and I thought it was pretty
Come
awesome.
on, Bible scholar.
Oh gosh, you're gonna do that too.
Yes, I did.
Oh goodness. Okay, so
Make sure you talk loud.
yeah, I'm gonna talk loud. So I did some research, and there's an app that I use because I'm a little techie guy. There's an app that I use on my computer called eSword, and you can download it. It's a free app. And how I do stuff, I just typed in, sad. And then this is interesting. So it came up, and there's only 10 verses. 11. And sadness was the other word that was in there, with 11 matches for using the word sad. And then an example was in Luke 24, and I'll set up the situation so you guys can see it. Luke 24, chapter 24, verse 17, where Jesus had died and he came back, and the disciples were there with him, and they were talking to him, and he said unto them, what manner of communications are these that ye have one another as ye walk and are sad? So what I was drawing from that is the reference to what type of sadness or what we would know as depression now is they would have it written as sad in the Bible. And I could just imagine these are Jesus' friends. They were the disciples. They were there. He had died. He came back and he was with them. And even though he was in their presence, they still had a sadness on them. And I could relate that to a depression. Like if we were depressed, we had a situation, and our friend came back. Yeah, we would be happy for the moment and see him and be there. But maybe that the pressure of the depression or sadness would still be on us. And he was addressing that, saying, how can you still be sad when I'm here with you? Because he was alluding to the reference that he will always be there with them. So he was drawing on a positive situation and a positive emotion to counteract the sadness that they were feeling. So the next thing that I looked up, and I was like, okay, so let me see, sadness is in there. So let me find something, and I did joy. That was the next search that I did. And then for joy, there's 155 verses and 165 matches for when that word joy is used. So in comparison, to see that there's only, a handful of verses that talk about the sadness or directly a sad emotion that is on people, there are 155, a plethora of more examples of the word joy. And I always look back and think and say, okay, where does sadness come from? And we all know it comes from the devil because he seeks to come and kill and destroy and take that away from us. But how did God counteract that sadness that the devil spread across this planet? And it's by these different things that, just like you said, these things that we can do within the community around us, the people we have that reach to us, that when we break our pattern and we're not answering the phone, it's by reaching out to someone to talk to them, personally hugging somebody, giving them that physical affection that they need, praying with somebody. What is it? Oxytocin.
Yeah, the humans we desire touch. God made us to want to be communal.
touched, and you get that
when you
touch,
sing in church,
and the chemical comes
in
out,
church.
and it. I need a high five for that.
Right.
So these things are they're so intertwined
Right.
Together to show you that, man, God designed is so awesome, and that when we do lack those physical touch and those other triggers that give us that joy, we then will have to get prescribed the medicine that will supplant to do that. But also we're going to need the community,
Absolutely.
the
Thank you.
counselors and the therapists to continue to bridge that gap between where they have lost the friendship and the relationships that they have around them, or through circumstances and situations, that they can then get into a fostering, loving environment where they can thrive and be productive. So these are just some Bible verses.
Somebody said not everyone likes being touched.
Yeah, I know.
Hearken to what not everybody likes being
Yeah,
touched.
they probably want a gift because they have the 5 love languages.
Exactly.
And, people can get gifts. Some
like
people's
being
quality time.
Yeah.
Some people is teamwork.
There's different ways of
Words of
describing it.
affirmation, different things
Yeah, I like
that.
diamonds over touch, but hey,
Oh yeah.
that'll take me right out of my depression. That
So
produces
so
oxytocin,
this is
too.
from 3 John 1:4. It says, "I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth." That could be a parent, a loved one. If you're in a village and you're raising a child, to know and see someone that is walking in truth, that they are somebody, that they are beautiful, that they do have people advocating for them. So something like that is very good to have that positive reinforcement in our lives, and to have that around us. So that's just a couple of instances that I had, and I know throughout the Bible that experiences of people, and I know Tammy was talking about Job, and you probably talk about him later, is we have these setbacks that are there for us. We have these things, but God enabled us to have these communities around us, the people around us, our friends, our family, even resources, friends that we would have never known or met through circumstances, to really complete us and to make us whole. So it's really a good thing to look in and see Bible stories and draw from the characters and the situations they went through. And they, a lot of them had it rough, where they were in some real tough situations, and they looked for the positive things, and the positives from their past and the positives from their future is what brought them through the tough times that they had at the very spot they were in. So yeah, there's another example. This is from Matthew, where Jesus is going up to the cross and he's feeling sorrow and sadness for the situation that he's about to go through. But I think what held him and kept him was not only his prayers, but knowing the promises that God has given us, that there will be better days on the other side. Even if we don't know what the other side is, he promises us that he will never leave us or forsake us, and that all things will work together for good for those that love God. So those are just promises that we have to hold on to, and then the resources we have in the community around us, to tap into those things that are very beneficial and will be helpful for us too. So yeah, there's a bunch of verses that I have, and what I could do is I could probably screenshot this and
You can post it
Can
on
I
the
say
thing.
send it somewhere. Yeah.
So we're talking about your feelings. When you start to have a sad feeling, many cognitive behavioral therapists believe that your thoughts create your feelings. So if you're sad and you link your sad, what am I thinking about? And if it's any kind of negativity about a situation, or you just have negativity around you, it does make sense that when you trust in the Lord and the Bible, that now you have positive thoughts to create positive feelings, to have wanted actions, opposed to listening to everything else out there and having negative thoughts, or filtering out a very common thought distortion is filtering. You filter out all the positive and only focus on the negative. So if you don't have the positivity, which would be faith and uplifting things like that, and you just have everything else that we got going on, it'll create sad feelings, and then we have sad actions, like isolation and things like that. But if you replace it with these Bible verses and meditation and prayer and going to church and being around your friends and doing the right thing, it'll help to create more positive feelings and then have wanted actions, along with if you're clinically depressed and you need the psychiatric medicine to help also, because your brain is an organ just like your kidneys or your pancreas, and you would need insulin. So you would use comprehensively, you would use all of your resources to help you beat this this horrible disease.
And like, you have little stickies in your home.
Positive affirmations.
Positive affirmations everywhere. She has them everywhere. She has them on her bathroom, and they're all over the place.
All right, I see you, Jane.
Okay.
Hey, Mary Jane.
Yeah, Mary Jane.
What's so funny about that is we went through that same thing in my household, where everywhere there's these little postcards, and I went home. I forgot when it was. I went to my mom's house and I saw it, and it says, "I am a special gift from God." And I walked into the house, and there's one like on the alarm panel, where the alarm is. There's one by the AC panel when you go in the bathroom. There's one inside the bathroom on the window. And then I was like, "Oh, this is so awesome." And then it got scary because then you open the cupboard, it's inside the cupboard. I mean, when you open the trash can, it's by the trash can, but it's everywhere. So you're immersed in
Yeah.
that I am a special gift from God, so that no matter where you are in the house, you always see it. And it makes you feel loved. And then when you take your little selfies for Snap, it's all in the corner, and people are like, "Oh, that's so awesome."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's such a positive thing, and I always try to do that is weave some type of positive affirmation or positivity into something that I'm doing because other people see it, and they are subliminally getting that as well, and they feel the same type of love and affirmation that you can get from those things. So I think that's something positive that we can do for ourselves that will be helpful and rub off on others, and we may not even know it.
Yeah.
I have a question. But go ahead, Tammy. Go ahead. I know you can ask.
Well, because we only have about 12 minutes left, I did want to address the stigma because I think that's a huge thing. Why do you guys think there's such a stigma, especially in the minority community and in the church, when it comes to mental illness, and how can this change?
I know why. Well, I know at least for me, most of the people that I know that have been like clinically depressed, a lot of people associate them with being crazy, or they associate them with like that girl. She about to kill herself. Like she needs to be Baker acted. Like so. I think there's like a lot of negative connotations when it comes to depression and why a lot of people they don't want to be associated with it.
Yeah.
Like I know, like with me, if I am depressed, I don't want to tell people I'm depressed. I'm gonna be like, what? No, I ain't. I'm good.
Clearly.
Need your services.
I need your services.
So that's what that's like my take on it. I mean,
Feel like you were gonna say something.
So yeah, and this will go back to there's twofold I think kind of why it's a stigma within communities of color. It goes back to a study that I saw about healthcare and communities of color and them being less diagnosed for things.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of people of color who suffer from PTSD that go undiagnosed because of the situations, lack of insurance, lack of adequate health care, lack of community resources.
Yes.
And those also go into other destructive behaviors. So there are clinical, and when you get depressed, it can make you really sad. It can also make you really angry. And it can push you to the brinks of suicide, where it's not like, oh, I'm going to, slit my wrist, but I'm going to go out and I'm going to do a drive-by and I'm going to do gangbanging. And if I die, it's no problem because they are in the mode of depression already, but they do not even know it. But they just turn into a destructive behavior. So that also is a contributing factor to why it's a stigma, because then people see it as, oh yeah, you're just crazy, or you lost it. And I think it needs to be handled delicately within our community as well, because we need to be able to have open ears and open arms to be able to communicate, talk, and accept people who have those type of situations. They have these feelings and emotions that they're struggling with, and that we will welcome them and comfort them and console them and offer them good solutions and good ways to help them in the situation that they're in.
We have some. Oh, sorry.
No, go.
We have some comments. It says, some Harkin one said, "We leave everything for God to work out. We're expected to pray it away." And then somebody said, "Post, it's rock, and so do affirmations. The combos are great." Sorry, hold on.
Somebody asked if depression can be spiritual.
Right? Can depression be spiritual? Which I thought was a really good question. Keep a positive attitude and stuff. But yeah, can depression be spiritual as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think and even in supernatural, where they talk about demons and different things like that, in third world countries where they're not as intellectually advanced as we are, they have those things where they have demons and sightings of different things. In America, as far as us being intellectually advanced, those are things we may not deal with as prevalently, but we do have the mental health issues that can be from there can be spiritual abuse that may have happened to you when you were
Mhm.
younger, or
Yeah.
something that would lead you down that road. So that is something that is, it's true. It can be spiritual,
Yeah.
some type of spiritual depression as well, and that will require, counseling and a strong community.
You're right.
And I know a lot of my pastor. I know my pastor. He's a marriage family counselor. I know he has his master's, probably doctorate. He's a marriage and family counselor and therapist. A lot of our pastors are. So I would tell us, make use of the resources that we have. Go down to the conference office. They have family life ministries
Mhm.
and different things like that that would plug you into, if you don't have the insurance, if you don't have, the money to get it done professionally,
Mhm.
seek free services within the church.
Yeah.
Back
Yeah.
to your stigma question, though.
Mhm.
I feel like I can, well, I can say from this, to talking from experience, I feel like the stigma, it falls a lot from, I mean, this is the basic of education. So I have a sister who suffers from depression, and growing up with her, it seemed like she was saying, like, she was always irritable, and it was just more so like, you're just really just sensitive and annoying. Like, that's how growing up with her was. And I want to say that was literally like until a couple of years ago. And like my mom would always be like, there's it's something different. Like, like you need to go get. My mom's so pro therapy. So yeah, she's always said that. And for us, growing up, I feel like in a very impoverished community and just not having resources to really educate us, you had no idea what that was.
Mhm.
You had really no idea what like depression or
Yeah.
depression just kind of seemed like it. To me, it was like, you're sad, get up out of it.
Yeah.
Like, other people got other problems too. Like, it was
Right.
just kind of like you had to be strong. You had to work through your problems.
Right.
It wasn't like you were allowed to be sad.
Yeah.
And so, like, and dealing with and knowing and educating me with my sister, which was going to be my question, how do we deal with people and how can we deal with it with people who have depression and other ways? But in dealing with it, it makes me more aware. But I wouldn't have been aware had I not understood or educated myself. I don't think I still would be aware as much aware if I didn't have a sister who was dealing with it as much as whatever. But I also feel like as a minority, we're also and this is not just Black, I mean Hispanics and everything.
Yeah.
You're also taught to not talk about anything.
Exactly.
You're taught to deal with your problems and keep it pushing.
Yeah.
And so for us, that's always how it's been. You never talked about your family business. You never talked about anything. So going to a counselor seems very like,
Yeah.
I mean, thank God my mom was never like that. But in some instances she was. It was like, you didn't tell your family business. But she's also, like I said, she's very pro therapy. So to go talk about your problems. But I know other families and in other parts of my family where it's very like, you don't talk about anything. Like, you keep it to yourself. Your family business is your business. And whatever you're going through, you just got to get over it.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as, and medication is looked at very negatively too. It
Yeah.
looks like if you're on medication, like, you're a weirdo. Like, it's why you gotta, I gotta be taking medication. And like I said, for me, I can say I was one of those ignorant people. It wasn't until I had friends and I had family members who had these issues, who had things like this, and then I understood. So I just really feel like it's education. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I think another aspect too with the minority community is a lot of minorities view mental illness as like, oh, only white people go through that, or only white people go to counseling. I've had clients say that to me. And so that's another thing. And then that comes with lack of education also. So a lot of our minorities don't think that mental illness is a thing that afflicts them, their community.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Then a lack of awareness, again, which goes into education. Spiritual weakness. A lot of people think that because I'm depressed, that means that my faith must not be as strong, or I'm not as Christian as the next person. So then that deters them from speaking out about it because they're afraid that other people are going to look at them like, well, maybe you ain't praising hard enough or whatever. And which it's not a personal weakness or anything of that nature. And I think the way that we can resolve this issue is with more people, for one, speaking out about it. I really commend you for, just being so open about it. And that really helps to bring down the stigma. Because, okay, now I have this person who's in front of me who has a great personality. She's funny. She's here. And she's admitting. to having a diagnosis. So
She's like,
therefore,
"Look, you should
it
ask
normalizes it, and it doesn't make it seem like it's this far away thing,
Mhm.
or
No,
you're
sh-
crazy,
Oh, honey,
or
there's nothing normal about me. I don't know how much I can go on.
But it's true
but it
though.
helps.
No, but thank you.
It's true though. Like if you don't talk about it,
Right.
you don't know that there are people, around you who are whatever,
Exactly.
and who are very like. She's saying she's not normal, but to me she's very normal. Like in the sense where like. If you met her, you wouldn't be like, hey, by the way, I'm crazy. I'm sorry. Like, I suffered from depression. I'm like, it just would, at first you wouldn't know that because she's like this spark of like all the time. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm more depressed than she is. She's always got energy.
Mhm.
And then I see like, but there's different ways because my sister deals with it completely different. When I deal with my sister, she has definite like serious things of depression and where she's very down and I always have to be like, reassure, like, it's going to be okay. Like, you're going to get through this. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. It's not a big deal. But, they also feel like, I feel like not for my sister, it was like, for her, it felt like she was the oddball out of the family. Like, okay, it's this. And that's why I feel like, and like he was saying, like, then people like who, like, says for crime, since I'm the crime, like when people commit crime, and then it's looked at like a negative thing, like, oh, I was depressed, or I was suffering from a mental, and this is why I did this. So now it's looked at like, you do crazy stuff when you're when you suffer from a mental illness, when it's not always true.
Exactly.
It does happen, but it's not always true.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So educate yourself, man, and come out to September.
Yes.
And get
September
yourself
17th.
educated.
Wait, so sometimes when you're dealing with your, do you call them patients or
Clients.
clients?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So sometimes when you're dealing with your clients and they tell you like, okay, I'm on probation because I was depressed and that's why I did that. Do they still get like charged or whatever?
Yeah, so and that is the real hard, and this is why I like commend mental health. It's really hard when you're dealing with mental health and crime because a lot of people who are dealing with mental health are not getting their medication, the stigma, they don't want to get the help, they don't know what they're suffering from, they haven't been diagnosed. So yes, it can cause you to spiral out, just like anything. Some people don't have control. Like I, in moments, don't have control of my sadness, but like anything, like there are people who have been, you hear in the church, who's like, I've contemplated suicide. Well, in that moment, that's just how they felt. So we have people who, yes, they commit crime, and then it's hard. With the law, you still have to be charged. I mean, that's just the law. But we have a specific, probation has a specific mental health court where if you are diagnosed, you can go through a specific program for mental health. And it will not take the charge away. You still will have to go through a program, but they'll get you the help you need, and it'll take away the violation part of it. So they'll get you the help you need, and that's the rock and the hard place with mental health and crime, because you still. People want to still see you held responsible for the crimes that you commit. That's just a part of this. That's a part of the law, and that's a part of society. But there are things that we have to understand and educate yourself and say that people are suffering, and so sometimes they are not aware of the stuff that they're doing. And also with mental health, people are. If they're not doing their medication, what are they doing? They're using substance abuse. So whatever, they're coping and they're using
self-medication.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm like, Stop it.
So long.
Yeah.
So long, I forgot.
I'm like, hello, help me out. Yeah, they're self-medicating. And so a lot of times when I know you're dealing with mental health, I know the mental health counselors I deal with at work, they say a lot of times they have to get them to detox first, then figure out the issue. Because sometimes they're like dealing with both at the same time. So you don't know what you got going on. You have people who are really addicted to medication, drugs, and prescription medication, and then people who are dealing with mental health issues at the same time.
Yeah, it's like walking a tightrope.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really hard, and I feel like especially the criminal justice system needs more awareness when it comes to mental health.
Yes.
100%, because you're dealing with people who are not necessarily, I don't want to say but they are not aware all the time of the extremities of their crimes and things that they're doing. Because I feel like
Impulsivity. Has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, nobody wants to do things. Some people do, but some people really don't want to do things that I know are going to lock them behind bars forever. You know, some people do. Some people like it there, but some people don't.
So with the last 2 minutes, and I think Phil was kind of getting on this question, how can we be of support to others? And if somebody's listening and they feel like they have depression or have some other mental illness, where can they get help? So how can we be supportive, and how can people get help?
I'll let you off that.
1 minute.
1 minute, yeah, because you know.
Do it in a short way.
Laptop.
Use the resources that you have around you. Talk to any pastors that you may know have their therapist license or counseling license. There's a lot of free resources out there. I know Tammy may talk about that.
Yeah.
Free resources. There's an event coming up next week. You should attend.
Yep.
And then by just being an awesome Christian citizen to other people, being loving, compassionate, and caring, having the fruits of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, kindness, long suffering, and praying for your friends or loved one that's in that situation, and then just some type of compassion and empathy for people.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, educate yourself. Honestly, seriously, that's what's helped me is educating yourself, be around people, talk to people, and get to know what is going on before you prejudge somebody or slander them for how they're feeling or whatever that is that they're going through. Just educate yourself, and be supportive. Be supportive whether people have to take medication, if it's something, just whatever the case may be. Don't make people feel like what they're going through is just weird or it's special and only they can go through it. It's just to them, So that would be me.
I didn't know I had to, but
you don't have to.
You don't.
Okay, well then ditto everybody. Yeah, support.
Did you have anything?
I was just going to reiterate that if you've been through therapy and or you take medications or whatever the case is, and you've benefited from seeking the help that you've gotten, to not keep it to yourself. And that may be asking a lot, but to actually spread the word that, hey, this helps, or, and here's a place where you could go, or, try this. If it doesn't work the first time, try something else. Let people know that what it's like too, and that, they're not just this, isolated individual.
And everybody, but I also want to add, if you hear people perpetuating stigma by making certain comments, that are keeping that ignorance going, correct people's, hey, this is not the term that you use, this is not what it is, and educate people around you when you hear people giving misinformation. UCF Community Counseling Clinic, they offer free counseling. These are master level students. So if you don't have the insurance, if you can't afford to go to counseling, the UCF Community Counseling Center offers free counseling services, family, individual, children. Aspire Health Partners is one of the largest mental health agencies in Central Florida. So if you just go to aspirehealthpartners.com or .org, they have over 85 different programs serving in different cities that serve the community. Jorge, anything?
As far as dealing with people that are struggling with it, I'd say good things to have is just acknowledge and be aware and be available. Like if I'm seeing someone struggling, I'm not gonna say, get it together, it'll be all right. Like I'm not gonna I want to validate what they're feeling. So, having that awareness, acknowledging what they're going through, and just being available. I'm here to talk if you want to talk. You seem to be by yourself. You want to do something. That's a way you could help somebody out of their depression, by being available, acknowledging their plight, and just being aware of the situation. And then as far as resources, I looked up one online. It's called www.hopeline.com. And what they do is they help you find community resources in your area. So they kind of do the work for you. So if you go up in there, enter your information, they'll help you find whatever's near you that you might want to try to help you out. Also, there's hotlines you can call if you're feeling suicidal, if you're not feeling right or anything. There's 1-800-SUICIDE and then 1-800-273-TALK. So both of those are some hotlines you can call. They have people there that are trained in crisis to help talk to you and help you through that situation. So those are some good resources to use.
Wonderful. All right, guys, it's the end of our show. Thank you, Camille.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.